What's up everyone, here we are, we're at the temple. This is a little bouldering spot just outside of Albuquerque. I've been wanting to do a video on this place for a little while now. It might be a couple videos, I'm not sure. But I get a lot of questions about this area because I post little things here and there of me kind of climbing or training here. And it's a spot that I've been coming to for a really long time. It was just really a good place to train at the time. As you can see, it's kind of like a little power band, a long kind of cliff band, kind of cave feature with tons of different little variations. There's a lot of like traverses and kind of hard eliminates, and there's actually quite a few decent like straight up climbs, like independent lines that go throughout this wall. So all of those have kind of been like little test pieces for me over the years, you know, after work or after school, something like that, and just kind of climb outside and rather than being inside in the gym. But anyways, after, you know, so many years coming back to New Mexico, I've been kind of using this place as like a little training ground to get me in shape for the season. Funny enough, I kind of found one last undone kind of project here, and it's basically the full traverse of the entire crag. So starting on the right side over here and kind of traversing all the way back to there and actually topping out and just kind of climbing out of the crag, which is pretty cool. There is one pretty obvious traverse that had been done in the past. It's called the Saadhu, probably the hardest climb here, and it starts kind of down there and does the full traverse, and that was rated V14. It kind of starts like 2/3 of the way into the wall, and it kind of leaves out this whole chunk of rock over here, which actually has some of the better hard climbing, some of the independent lines. They're called the Ling Cheese, and I'll just turn the camera here. There's a few different versions of the Ling Cheese, and two of them start here. Left Ling Chi, and it starts there, kind of climbs up, and then in straight up. Another one starts at the same place, and then jumps out right to this hold and ends out at the rat. And then you have right Ling Chi, which starts on the right, and kind of climbs out this section, goes back right, and then goes up the rat there. And those are kind of like the little test pieces on this side of the wall. A number of years ago, I brought my friend Ty out here, and we climbed around New Mexico a little bit, but we spent a couple sessions down here in the cave. We kind of found a little variation to the left Ling Chi. Basically what we did was we started up and got into this sloper section, and then we busted left to this other small crimp, and ended on this V6. That kind of created a pretty cool little variation, probably like V12 or something like that. Let me just turn the camera around. What I decided was to start on right Ling Chi and then climb up into this hold over here and then traverse over, and you could do kind of like a little down climb, get a little bit of a rest there, and then keep traversing over on these holds, and then eventually you would end up on this hold, the low fold. This is basically 2 moves in on the Saadhu. From there, you can finish out the Saadhu. So, in a lot of ways, this is kind of one of the more logical lines here. It's basically a full traverse of the whole crag, you know, starting on the right side and traversing all the way over. It's actually proven to be quite the difficult trainer. Today's day 1 for the season, so I'm really just gonna kind of get familiar with the sections again. Over the last year, I've spent quite a lot of time on this, and I've gone pretty close, like climbing into Saadhu a few times and just kind of pumping out. It's really just been kind of a good test, you know, for me to feel in shape, to be climbing on rock and trying hard if I don't have time, you know, to get down south to my projects or up in Colorado. Yeah, day 1 today, so I'm just gonna kind of test out the sections and walk you guys through kind of like all the different variations and beta that I have, and kind of just see, you know, what I can do. Hopefully, if that all feels good, I'll start to do some little links, and then as it cools down a bit, maybe we'll give a few tries from the start. tired, definitely quite a bit. Play around with some toe hook stuff. This could be kind of good. Some Steve McClure vibes. I don't know if I can quite do the Pringle. Hey Pringle, this is for you. I've tried knee bars, for those wondering, but not really any great feet. And this is kind of like, this ledge here is kind of like blocking your shin, so it's kind of weird. So I really think it's going to be about the heel hooks and just doing it Ramune style, just all on your arms, being strong, I guess. Or not being tired when you get here. That's ideal. Alright, so this is the business, as they say. Basically the crux of the Saadhu. From that block, cross this crimp, bump it to this hold, compress into kind of a really bad sloper, precarious heel hook, release, cross under, and you match right next to your hand. Kind of switch around, and then you climb into that previous section. Alright, since that first little warm-up burn went pretty well, I'm going to try to do the link from the loaf on the Saadhu to the jug. Basically, the whole crux full of problems with the Saadhu. That link usually takes me 2 or 3 days to do. Right on. Alright, now I'm going to move down the wall a little bit and try the crux moves of the first part, which is actually pretty finger intensive. Feel pretty good about the session already. Just having done like the main section of the Saadhu right away, you know, it's pretty warm out today, so you can probably tell. Definitely want to just kind of finish up doing all the moves and getting the sections dialed, and then coming back a little bit more fresh and, you know, try to give some real links on this thing. The right hand crimp here is probably the smallest hold on the root. I'll do a little close up here in a little bit. Definitely something that you got to be ready for and really willing to like bear down on. Be resting. That was pretty good. No complaints there. So I'll do a close-up of this hold, so I know everyone likes that. This is that crux hold. If I get my hand on there so you can see, it's basically like a quarter pad, but really slopey edge. Feels like bouldering. This hold is pretty positive once you get it, but it's still kind of like a half pad. That's 3/4 pad. Get up on the sloper, positive holds and then down into the jugs there before you embark on the pumpy traverse. Alright, well, things are going pretty well so far in this first session, so I think I'm going to try it from the bottom, but really just this boulder prom. I feel good about the traverse right now. All the sections feel great, and I think if I'm able to do this boulder prom, or at least do pretty well in the boulder prom, then I have a pretty good shot to make some really good attempts the next time. Maybe give it a few days, and on a day that I'm pretty recovered and not working before. So let's see how this boulder prom goes. I'll probably just give it a couple tries. Looks like we gotta come back soon and try this baddie. It's a little tired, but that was good. Alright, that's a wrap on that first session. Went pretty well today. Was able to do all the main crux links. Big Saadhu link, which was kind of the question mark for today, and the first part of the boulder prom link. So things are feeling really good. I think I'm gonna give it a few days, do some training in the gym and recover a little bit, and then hopefully if temperatures drop back down, I'll come back out here on a fresh day and try to give the full thing a link. So yeah, stay tuned.